Okay, people, happy to see you all. Happy morning, everybody. So we do this little 30 minutes together. Make the most of 30 minutes. 30 minutes, so easy, so quick. Every second of it, every millisecond of it. Attempting to do something useful like this, every millisecond, we're dropping little seeds into our bank vault. That's what we need. Bucket loads of virtuous, delicious seeds. Every thought counts. So we'll be so happy. We're thinking we're going to do this little 30 minutes. I'm going to do bless the speech again. This meditation, this visualization, this imagining, it's your thoughts, isn't it? It's your mind doing it, So that's what creates the karma, the mind. So our mind wanting to purify is fantastic thoughts to have, amazing thoughts. As Lama Yeshe says, it's the mind that creates negativity. So we purify with the mind creating positivity. That's exactly what it does. So we'd be very delighted. So just check our bodies first. Our body doesn't meditate, but it needs to be in a conducive position. So if we can be in full lotus position, like His Holiness says, that's the ideal, then it creates the cause. If we can't do it all the time, even just sit for a second like that, that sort of sets the tone and it's auspicious for the ability to be able to do it in the future in the more advanced practices. And all the subtler energies are aligned nicely when we can sit like that. You full lotus, the right leg in front, the left leg behind, and they're both on each instep. That makes the body very stable. The yogis can sit like that for weeks, days, months, because their body doesn't topple over because the body is so stable. It's been found, Most of us maybe can't do that. So if we sit in it for a second, great. If not that, just sit ordinary cross-legged. If not that, in a chair. And if we're in a chair, then we need to sit upright. Don't slump into the chair. That's no good at all, because you need the body to be upright, because the subtler physical energies, the way they talk in Tantra, the subtler nervous system, all our states of all our minds, all our actual mental states are connected to the wind energies, and they course through these channels. So if the body is slumping, then the channels get sort of compressed, and the mind gets kind of blocked, So then you're upright, but not tense. So sit upright, then relax the muscles, flop the muscles. Your shoulders upright, but relaxed. Hands in the lap in the classic position of the meditation mudra or gesture, left underneath, right on top, forming a triangle, and the thumbs touching. I heard years ago, and I don't know the source, that these two thumbs touching, there's sort of subtler channels related to bodhicitta. Something like that I heard. I can't think of the source though. Then your head is important. Your head slightly tilted forward, chin tucked in a little bit, because if your head is thrust back, it makes the mind more agitated. Your jaw relaxed, lips slightly apart, tip of the tongue resting behind the palate, the top teeth. That prevents you from dribbling. If you're meditating seriously a lot, it prevents you from dribbling or having to swallow the spit. It's all very practical. This is from the experience of the great yogis and yoginis over the centuries. And then your eyes, ideally, again, the great yogis have found this, that if they're open, when you've got really good concentration, then you don't get distracted. The light comes in, which helps your mind stay sharp. But if we're not very good concentration, then we get distracted opening the eyes. So have your eyes lightly closed. But your eyes should be looking down, as if you're looking along your nose towards the ground beneath your eyelids. So settle into this position and then forget about it, because like I said, the body doesn't meditate. I think we're so addicted to our bodies. We feel nice when we sit cross-legged. We think, oh, I meditated well. That's ridiculous. The mind meditates. So now we can just imagine Buddha in front of us, sitting there like a witness to this little 30-minute session, sitting on his lotus in the sky in front of us, radiant light, very happy. And if we have a spiritual teacher, we think it's their mind manifesting as Buddha. Well, actually, have him above your crown. Have Buddha above your crown, sitting the same way as you. Just imagine him there. Your Lama's mind manifesting as the Buddha, kind of like witnessing this little session, blessing you. We do a little We do our little practice now. We do our little mat. We can have the practice up. So there's our little refuge prayer. So sweet. So sweet. I take refuge in the three jewels. It means I rely upon the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. May I become a Buddha to benefit all. I take refuge in the three jewels. May I become a Buddha to benefit all. Konshog, Sumla, Kyabsu Chi, Jola, Penche, Sangye Shog. So now just you visualize as I lead the meditation. And of course, if you can't visualize well, don't worry, but you can think it. And thinking is the first step. The thinking is the thing. To think it, think these things. So now, on your tongue, you imagine there's the R syllable, AH, if you don't know Sanskrit or Tibetan, standing upright. And then on top of that, I'm sorry, no, the R now turns into a moon disk. It just transforms into a moon disk, like a flat white cushion on your tongue. And then on top of that, there's a white Om standing upright. And it's surrounded by the white vowels. Of course, if we don't know them, we just have to imagine they're there, all standing upright, going clockwise. Surrounding them are the red consonants. They're counterclockwise. All these red letters standing upright, imagine. And surrounding them, going clockwise, are the blue, all the blue letters, the blue syllables of the dependent related heart mantra. That's how Rinpoche says, and that's the mantra of dependent arising. And remember, dependent arising is the king of logics, as Lama Yeshe says, to prove emptiness. So think of all this on your tongue, the white moon disk in the center of the Om, clockwise the white vowels, counterclockwise the red consonants, clockwise the blue syllables of the dependent related heart mantra. So now you imagine that light beams go out from all these syllables and all in their same colors to all the 10 directions and hook what this does, these letters, the energy, the light goes out and hooks the energy of the blessed speech, the pure speech, the power of speech, the speech of all the holy, of the Buddhas, all the bodhisattvas, all the yogis, all the practitioners, hooks the energy of this pure, powerful speech, meaning the speech that, that speaks the advice that leads us to Buddhahood, that speaks words of virtue, that speaks words of accuracy, They talk about the main gift of the Buddha is the power of speech. It's such a surprising concept, but it's so logical when we think about it. So all these light beams go out from all the syllables in our tongue to all the 10 directions, hooking the energy of the power of speech, the blessed speech, the pure speech, the wise speech, the accurate speech of all the holy beings in the universe. As Rinpoche says, he says, all of those who've engaged in the path have achieved all the realizations, or even just good people like us, attempting to use our speech powerfully. He says, due to the power of abiding in silence, this is one of the most powerful practices, conscious, intentional silence, not like passive-aggressive silence, that's no good. Conscious, intentional silence of living in the virtue of abstaining consciously from negative speech, and proactively speaking virtuous speech. These are the different ways of literally purifying our speech, making it powerful, useful, beneficial. And this is the energy of the speech of all the holy beings. from this practice. All this light comes back now and absorbs back into the syllables on your tongue, making them radiant and delicious, like about to melt into different delicious nectar, full of the power of all the holy beings in the universe. Imagine this, all these syllables on your tongue. How marvelous. So now we're going to recite the syllables, and we're going to visualize purifying as our body, speech, and mind. There's so many practices like this, it's so skillful. This is overtly about our speech, clearly, but we're also using it to help purify body, speech, and mind, because obviously they're also interconnected. So as we say the vowels, we visualize this white nectar dripping down and filling our entire body. And we imagine so happily it purifies all the pain and sickness and heaviness and difficulties of our body immediately. And not only that, crucially, it also purifies all the karmic imprints, all the seeds in our mind from the countless actions of the past of having harmed others with our bodies. And if you think of our mind goes back and back and back, and we've taken different rebirths because they're all just the manifestation of different states of mind. We've been animals countless times, and animals with such intense suffering of ignorance, living in such a nightmare where they're threatened millisecond by millisecond. So they live in most terrible suffering of harming and being harmed, ripping each other to pieces, eating each other alive. This is done with our bodies. So these karmic imprints are in our mind, not to mention the karma we've created as humans, harming others with our bodies. So think all these karmic seeds instantly purified by this blissful white nectar, completely filling us. As we say the syllables. Om, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ang, swaha. Om, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ang, swaha. Om, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ang, swaha. Imagine you're completely full of this blissful white nectar. All your negative karma of body completely purified. Your body radiant and light and effortless and flexible and as light as a feather. All the pain and suffering gone. Be so delighted. So now imagine red nectar coming down from the consonants, filling our entire body, completely filling us, and this time purifying all our nonsense speech, our uncontrolled speech. Sometimes we just blurt things out, no awareness whatsoever. Then the speech that's kind of either just rabbiting on about nothing, useless, wasting people's time, all the speech that may be criticizing others behind their backs. And we do this a lot, finding fault in all the politicians, criticizing people, angry speech. Even if this is curious, like we hear about some mass murder again, and yet another one, or some war. We have compassion for the victims, but then we say angry words, we say negative words about the politicians, or we say angry words about the people who did the harm. This is only going to harm us. No one hears it when we were sitting watching the television and we're shouting. We're harming our own self. So all this negative speech that pollutes our mind and the wind energies, which in turn creates suffering of the bodies and creates the future suffering, So all this negative speech, imagine, completely purified. The harsh speech behind backs, the abusive speech in front of people, to other people, unkind words, the rabbiting on about nothing words, and the lying words. But not just lying, we speculate. I think we speculate. We really think we're speaking the truth. We're so determined to sound like we know what we're talking about. We just impulsively just say whatever we feel, acting as if we're speaking the truth. This is one of our worst things, I think. We don't intentionally mean to lie, but we're so eager to be heard. We're so eager to be seen to be knowing something. We just blurt out what we think Are you sure, Robina? Yes. But then you're found out to be wrong. This is so heavy, you know. We mislead sentient beings. That's what speech does. Speech should benefit others. Think about that. Speech, what for? You know, if you're on your own, you don't just speak things, you think things. So as all the lamas say, when you're with others, you watch your body and your speech. And when you're on your own, you watch your mind. So speech is so powerful. So all that negative speech, and all the karmic results of negative speech, you imagine all purified by this red nectar filling us. And all the past karmic seeds before they ripen, purifying all of them. So happily, this red nectar filling us from head to toe. Om ka ka ga ga nga cha 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 janya ta 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 da na ta 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 da na pa pa ba ba ma ya la la wa sha sha sa hak sa svaha. The two lots of ta ta ta. I promise to look for it and I never do. It's got dots and things underneath and there's slightly different sound and I really don't know how. And I keep promising to check it. Maybe one day I really will and I'll tell you. There's a difference in the way you say them. Om ka 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 ga nga cha 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 ja nya ta 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 da na ta 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 da na pa pa ba ba ma ya ra la va sha sha sa hak sa swaha. Om ka 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 ga nga cha 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 ja nya ta 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 da na ta ta da da na pa pa ba ba ma yara lava sha 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 haksa swaha. Full of this red nectar. Speech completely purified. And so now the mind, the source of everything, you know. Now the mind. So this blue nectar pours down from the syllables of the dependent rated heart mantra and filling our entire body, instantly purifying the delusions, the parts of our mind, the misconceptions, the mental afflictions, the disturbing emotions, all these words, you know, all synonyms referring to the ego grasping, the root delusion, ignorance, maripa, the primordial mistake that is at the level of total assumption that there is a real, pointable, solid, independent I in here somewhere running the show. That's an absolute assumption in all suffering sentient beings. So automatic that as we hear that Buddha says there isn't one of those, it's kind of, we laugh. It sounds so hilarious, you know. And everything we think and do and say is underpinned by this assumption. So all our suffering, every atom of suffering of all sentient beings, this is the source. Everything we think and do and say is underpinned by, rooted in this assumption, this false assumption, this misconception. So everything we think and do and say is mistaken. Some things we do, think, and say are virtuous, but they're still mistaken. When you're compassionate, that's a virtue. You can't purify that. You want to grow that. So but still, there's an assumption of an independent I having independent compassion for an independent you. It's virtuous, but it's still rooted in a misconception. The negative states of mind are both mistaken and negative. And they're the ones that cause all the terrible suffering. The attachment to get what that I wants, the aversion and the panic and anger and all the rest when it doesn't, and all the other nonsense. All of these are rooted in that misconception. And they're all misconceptions. They're all false assumptions. And on the basis of these, we cause ourselves suffering and we harm others. So imagine all of these annihilated instantaneously. This blissful blue light filling us, totally annihilating from our mind ego grasping, the root delusion, the attachment, aversion, and all the other thousands, instantaneously. So delighted. And imagine your virtues infinitely grown, infinitely vast now, the mind full of bliss and joy as we say the mantra. Om ye dhamma hetu prabhava hetun teshan tatagato ievadat teshan chayo niroda evam vadi mahashamana yesvaha. Om ye dhamma hetu prabhava hetun teshan tatagato ievadat teshan chayo niroda evam vadi mahashamana yesvaha. Om ye dhamma hetu prabhava hetun teshan tatagato yavadat teshan chayo niroda evam vadi mahashamana yesvaha. These Sanskrit sounds are said to be so pure. I mean, we have to look into that and don't just believe it, but this is what all they say. All the mantras, the Tibetans don't translate the mantras. All the mantras are in Sanskrit. So now you imagine your mind completely purified. The delusion's gone. Can you imagine? So what will be the consequence of this? Well, the consequence of having no delusions is, and this sounds so hilarious to us, is that you're blissful. Your mind's always content and happy and joyful. I mean, to levels and degrees we can't even imagine. This is the point the Buddha's making. Removing the delusions is the cause of ridding the mind of suffering and our lives of the suffering and causes, which turn that around. It means it is the cause of becoming happy. The mind being joyful, stably. It's our natural state. This is our potential. And not only that, all these virtues, which are at the core of our being, are now infinitely grown, infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite compassion, infinite virtue, infinite goodness. This is what Buddha is telling us is our true nature. So we're so delighted imagining this, our mind full of all this, our true nature. We should be so enthusiastic. About practice, because it leads to this. So now imagine the blue syllables all dissolve into the red consonants on our tongue. The red consonants dissolve into the white vowels. The white vowels dissolve into the white om. And the white om dissolves into the moon disk. And then the moon disc turns into an ah, standing upright. And then now that turns into pink-colored nectar, which dissolves into your tongue. So as you know, imagine it now becomes of Vajra nature. Your tongue becomes indestructible. Nothing can harm it or take away or destroy the power of your speech, the power of your mantra. Think like this, all the virtuous speech, and have strong confidence that all the power and all the blessings of all the speech of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, the sages and the yogis and all the virtuous people all over the universe have entered all of your speech. And your speech, you think, I have perfected my speech. And the second the sentient beings hear you, even you say hello, even your laugh, you will benefit them. They will be benefited. One kind word, even just a kind word is incredible. Help the ant, the dog, the rats, the humans. How amazing. And it immediately help people calm their minds down, subdue their disturbing emotions. I mean, we want to do this. We want to help people. Well, we can by purifying our speech, making it amazing, making it useful, making it powerful. And then, of course, as we practice and learn wisdom, then our words aren't only just sweet and nice, they're also wise. We speak the truth. We can express reality to others. This is amazing. And now imagine now, because your speech is more pure, your mantras become more powerful. And because mantra is sound, and sound is wind, is the prana, is wind, and your wind energy is connected to your mind, just saying mantra purifies your body as well, because the wind is the subtle physical energy. And then because it's connected to your mind, it purifies your mind. So it's such a marvelous practice, just simply saying these mantras, and your mantras become more powerful. So be so happy, so delighted. So now for about 2 minutes, just imagine Buddha dissolves into you. Buddha dissolves into you, just dissolves into you. Imagine your body, speech, and mind, and the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, and your Lama's body, speech, and mind become one. Just imagine immediately, and then just kind of feel like you expand to fill the universe. No thoughts, just for a minute or two. Vast, clear, light, blissful. Just imagine. And then now just do our little dedication prayer. Those I forget, Matt. I forgot the meditation prayer. The dedication. Just say it together. It's very. May my tongue. I just can't get over this. I just adore this prayer. It's so sweet. May my tongue have all the courage of the ones gone to bliss. By the power manifesting from these glorified words, may all sentient beings be subdued, and whatever words I say, may all these actions be accomplished immediately. No, thank you, Matt. So people, just delight this little 30 minutes as usual, gone like a dream, like in 1 second, isn't it? 1 second ago, I was saying we begin, and now 1 second later we finished. It's amazing, isn't it? So don't waste our time, and be delighted we've used this 30 minutes nicely, and make the decision for as long as you've got for the rest of the day to watch your speech like a hawk. It's an amazing practice, okay? That's it. Thank you, precious ones. Much love, everybody. Thank you, darling.
Thank you, Venerable.